One of the most difficult parts about gardening, especially with vegetable gardening, is the amount of pests that can show up in your garden. Honestly, it can feel like every insect out there happens to want to eat your vegetable garden. Although that's not actually the case, it can really feel like that, especially if you don't have a handle on these insects before they take over your whole garden. So I want to talk to you today about 6 pests that will find your vegetable garden and are most common in the springtime. So I'm talking May into late June. So if you get familiar with these 6 insects, it's going to make your garden experience so much easier because you know what to watch out for and you're going to learn how you can manage these pests. If you're new here, my name is Bree from Urban Gardening Canada and I garden in Ottawa Zone 5. And if you don't know me, then you don't know how much I love to talk about insects. I love talking about all of them, the pests, the beneficials, and even the neutral ones in the garden. And it is very important to me that when I talk about insects in your garden, that we talk about how you can manage them without the use of any chemicals. And I mean your conventional or synthetic chemicals like pesticides and herbicides, as well as natural ones. I don't believe that organic pesticides or insecticides are required in a home garden, especially an urban garden. And so I'm going to teach you how you can manage all of these pests without using any of those chemicals, because there are too many insects that are affected by these organic chemicals that aren't listed on the label. And to go after a certain pest while also killing pollinators is just a no-no around here. So I'm going to show you how to naturally take care of them. So the first insect on this list is slugs, and slugs are very common in your spring and your fall garden, and that's because they love cool, dark, and wet. And if the spring is functioning as it should actually be cool and wet, because as we know, April showers bring May flowers, and of course the rain should really be continuing into May. Here in Ottawa, I don't really have problems with slugs because my backyard is really sunny and we don't get an excessive amount of rain. But if you live in a coastal area that gets a lot of rain, or your backyard just experiences more shade than it does sun, then slugs are going to be a very common problem for you. Or if you're in the UK where it just rains all the time, this is going to be a bigger pest. So slugs are nocturnal insects, which means that they come out at nighttime to feed, and this is because they are a prey insect. So birds will love to eat slugs if they have the opportunity to, so the best thing they can do is come out in the darkness in order to survive better. This means that it's a lot harder to find these insects because they're coming out at nighttime. So the only way you're really going to truly know you have slug damage is if you see the slimy trail that they leave behind as they walk along your garden, your raised beds, or even on the plant. Their damage is pretty generic, so it's hard to tell if you have damage from slugs or earwigs, but that slime is really going to give you that idea of what you're looking for. So the best way to find slugs and deal with them is you could go out in the evenings or in the mornings to look for them, but it's kind of annoying to have to do this at the end of the night, and slug populations can be pretty high, so it starts to become a lot more difficult to control these populations. So one of the easiest things that you can do if you are not experiencing a ton of rain is to water your plants in the morning. If you water your plants at nighttime, not only does it cause problems for your actual plants, but it's creating that wet environment for slugs that they love to come out in. So by changing your watering to the morning, this means that you are avoiding creating this environment that they like. But of course, if it's raining a lot in your area, it's a little bit harder for you to control your watering because the rain's going to come when the rain comes. Since slugs are prey animals, that means that they have to hide somewhere. So if your garden has a lot of leaf litter on top of it, or it has a thick mulch, then the slugs can actually hide inside of that during the daytime and come out at nighttime. So you can move your mulch around to look for these slugs, but another option is to cut the bottom leaves of your plants off so it does create less of a hiding place for them. As your plants start to grow larger, you do want to prune off the bottom of the leaves just to be able to give less hiding space for them, and this is going to make the environment less interesting for them to want to hang around at. Another option is you can put down a wet piece of cardboard in your garden, and they are going to hide underneath that during the daytime. And then you can pick that up and flip it over and feed it to the birds, or you can just throw away the slugs, whatever works best for you. And then there are people who create beer traps where they take a really thin, say like a plastic container, and fill it with beer, and then they bury it in their gardens. But the problem with that is it's going to catch a lot of other bugs that aren't necessarily pests in your garden. So this is just something that I've seen people do, but I haven't implemented in my garden. And so it's not something that I necessarily recommend. However, it is an option for you. All right, so the next pest is leaf miners. And this is a very, very popular one in the springtime. And that is because it's the larval stage of a bunch of different flies like sawflies. And since it's such a generic term for a lot of different insect larvae, it means that there can be a lot of them coming into your garden. And leaf miners particularly like the leaves of Swiss chard, beets. I've seen them on some of my cabbages before, nasturtium, but they have quite a wide range of plants that they like to target. And you know you have leaf miners when you notice that there is a white translucent spot on some of your leaves, or you notice a burrowing line of white that's being put through the leaf. These are coming from leaf miners. I do have a longer video on leaf miners that I will link for you guys below and put it up here so you can check that out. But essentially, in order to protect your leafy greens, you can put them under insect netting. This is a really quick way to deal with leaf miners, so that way they can't even lay their eggs if they had the opportunity to. Another option is to flip over the leaves of your plants that are most commonly affected, such as beets and Swiss chard, and wipe off the eggs. They usually come in packs of about 7 white eggs laid in a row together. Or the third option is you can just squish them inside the leaf or pull the affected part of the leaf off, and you can eat the rest of it. It's really easy to deal with leaf miners. This isn't something that you have to worry too much about, but if left unchecked, they can really ruin your spring greens. So you want to make sure that you are watching out for them. All right, so the third insect is lawn grubs. Now these don't necessarily affect your veggie garden right now, but they can affect your garden later in the season. I did do a complete video on lawn grubs, so again, I will link it here and below for you guys. But essentially this is the larval stage of June beetles and Japanese beetles, as well as the European chafer. Here in Canada, the majority of them are June beetles, which won't affect your vegetable garden so much as your trees if you have a treed property. But a lot of these larvae now are Japanese beetles, and when they turn into their adult form, they like over 300 different types of plants, and a lot of them are your vegetable garden plants. So by dealing with your lawn grubs now, it helps take care of the Japanese beetle problem in the future. You'll know that you have them if you see dead patches in your lawn, or you see ripped up holes in your lawn, because this is like skunks or raccoons that are digging to eat the grubs, or you might have a boatload of birds on the front of your lawn that are eating all of these grubs. So the best ways to deal with them is to get nematodes and spray nematodes in your lawn. These are microscopic organisms that will eat the nematodes. Or another option is to just change the way you grow your lawn, whether it is keeping the grass longer, putting in more clover or something else that they don't like, because grass roots are their host plant. So just changing out the types of lawn that you're growing will help you deal with these lawn grubs. Before I get into the fourth insect, if you are looking to read this instead of watching it as a video, you can find these bugs and many more on my website. I have a website that is loaded with a ton of resources, from how to grow different vegetables to all of the different beneficial insects, as well as these pests. And I am going to go in way more detail in future videos on different pests, because this is something that I have a lot of passion in, and a lot of people need help with how to manage them. I also have product reviews on my website, and as well as a shopping page where you can find our courses, our ebooks, as well as other downloadable PDFs, including freebies on there, and you can sign up to our newsletter if you're interested in it. So I'll leave a link to my website below for you to check out, but just know that this is a large resource that covers so much more than what I can cover in these videos. All right, so the fourth one is cabbage moths, and these are the enemies of brassicas everywhere. So my entire garden here is full of cauliflower, cabbage, kale, and this is a cabbage moth's dream garden. They love to eat all of these different brassicas here, hence the name cabbage moth, and they are a daytime flying moth that is white, and they have one black dot on each of their wings. There are tons of them out there. There's always a cabbage moth flying around. It never fails. Right now, it's a little too chilly for them to be flying out, but on warmer days, it would be no surprise to see a boatload of them flying around. They are technically a territorial moth, so you should only have one or two of them on your property, and you'll notice that they're always chasing other moths away from the property, and that's exactly what's happening there. But they lay eggs onto your brassica plants that later turn into cabbage worms, and these cabbage worms are these green caterpillars that are so perfectly camouflaged onto your plants that it is so easy to miss them. Generally, the easiest way to know you have cabbage moths is when you see holes eaten into the leaves of your plants, and then you have to be very slow and methodical to look for these worms. The other thing is that they leave very large insect frass, which is their poop, inside of, say, if you have a cabbage, you can really see the frass that is there, and that's a really good indication that you have cabbage worms and probably a later stage cabbage worm on them. The easiest way to manage them is to cover this in insect netting. Since any of the brassica family doesn't require any pollination unless it's for seeds, you can cover these in insect netting, and you don't have to worry about doing anything beyond that, because once they're covered, they're covered. You just want to make sure that the plant isn't touching the netting, because of course the moth can lay on the netting and just lay eggs through that insect netting. And I'm going to be talking about insect netting in more detail in a future video, so if you are interested in that, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification, so that way you are aware when that video does come out. If you don't have access to insect netting or hooping like this, then you can look for the eggs at the underside of the leaves. They are really, really small eggs, and oftentimes they only lay one. So you have to be very slow and methodical if you are looking for the eggs, and if you find them, just wipe them off. And the other option is to just keep an eye on the plant, and as soon as you see damage, start looking for those cabbage worms. You can just pick them off and throw them somewhere in your lawn, and a bird is going to find them faster than you realize, and then you don't have to worry about any more cabbage worms on them. But this is something that you're going to want to do every day or every second day, because the cabbage moths are out all day from the early season to the very end of the season. So this is a insect that is very much a spring pest, but an all-season pest as well. So getting into the habit of looking for cabbage worms means that your brassicas will be saved from too much damage. All right, so the fifth pest on this list are cutworms, and cutworms are the caterpillar stage of certain nocturnal moths. And what they do is they live inside the soil and they eat at nighttime, and they are called cutworms because what they do is they wrap their bodies around the stalk of your plant and they eat it through, and you'll wake up in the morning and your entire plant has been cut down at the base and is laying dead on the soil. So I've had cutworms take out nasturtiums, and I've had them take out corn. Those ones are two that I can guarantee were taken out by cutworms, and you really can't plan for them until they've already happened. So the best thing that you can do is direct sow seeds after the fact when you lose one. You can look around the base of the soil of the plant and try and find that cutworm, but I've done that in the past, and there's just no way I've ever been able to find one because they feed at nighttime. They kind of just disappear and go on to their next food source. So I've never actually been able to find one near my plants. However, I do have this video of one, and this is exactly what a cutworm looks like. So just know that if you have a plant that has tipped over in the middle of the night and has been cut down at the base, that this is likely what has happened to you. And in terms of what you can do to prevent it, there really isn't anything that you can do except for know that nocturnal moths are pretty cool. So yeah, you lost a plant, but you have a really cool nighttime moth that is showing up somewhere around your property, and I think that's pretty amazing. The best thing that you can do to deal with cutworm damage is just be prepared and grow a little bit extra, or else direct sow some new seeds in after you've experienced the loss of your plant. And the final one is cucumber beetles. I left this one till the end because cucumber beetles really don't start showing up until early June usually, and they can wreak a ton of havoc on your cucumber plants, including any of your squashes and melons. Any of them that have your yellow flowers on them, the cucumber beetles go crazy for. The worst part about cucumber beetles is they can have multiple generations in a single season. So you can have 2 or 3 generations, and this means that they are going to come out from the beginning of June all the way until the end of August, and they can be like severely damaging to your plants. Cucumber beetles will lay their eggs in the soil and then they emerge from the soil and come out. So you can't check for eggs on these specific plants in order to clean them off. And the other problem is that cucumber beetles can carry bacterial wilt on them. So they'll eat the leaves of your plant and transfer that bacterial wilt from their saliva onto the leaf, and it will kill your plant overnight. So if you've ever grown a cucumber plant or anything like a pumpkin or a squash and you notice that it was healthy one day and the next day it looks really droopy and kind of dead, there's a very good chance that you got bacterial wilt from a cucumber beetle. Now, there's a few different ways that you can manage these pests. The first is to succession sow cucumbers or zucchinis or other melons. This means that if you lose a plant to bacterial wilt or you just have a really bad infestation of them, then you can have a new plant that's coming up later that will help prolong your harvest. And if they only have one generation of beetles that year, then you can have your cucumbers or zucchinis growing later in the season without any pressure from the cucumber beetles. Another option that is kind of newer on the scene is using kaolin clay. I haven't tried it before, or I did try it and didn't do it right, where you mix kaolin clay, which is like a clay used for cosmetics, into water, and then you spray all over your leaves. And you want to spray it until they're very milky white looking. And this is something that deters the cucumber beetles from landing on your plants or even finding them. I haven't used it yet, so I don't know how good the efficacy is of this, but this is a suggestion. And then another suggestion is to try and hand pick them. So you can go out in the mornings or later in the evenings and try and catch them. They do get faster as the day heats up and moves on. So you don't want to do it during lunchtime because they're too quick for you. But you can just try and squish them on the plant or hit them into a cup of soapy water that's biodegradable. So that way you can dump your cup later in the backyard if you want to. And this is just going to help reduce the populations, but there is often so many of them that it's really hard to control them. The other option is you can grow everything under insect netting and hand pollinate depending on the size of your garden. If you grow a fairly small garden and only have so many plants, then you don't have to worry about hand pollinating. It's not too much work for you. Or you can grow a self-pollinating variety of certain plants. So there are self-pollinating cucumber plants, and this will help where you can grow them under cover and you don't have to worry about hand pollination. They'll take care of it themselves and just grow into their fruit. So this means that you have the option to try and grow it under cover, although growing large upright growing vines under an insect netting is a little awkward. So it really just depends on what kind of setup that you have. But cucumber beetles can definitely be one of the more aggravating pests that come out in the early springtime. However, if you know that they exist and you know that they like to hide inside of the yellow flowers, it just gives you an opportunity to look inside for them and try and get a handle on their populations early and deal with them before they start calling over their friends to say, hey, there's food over here, and you end up with a massive amount of beetles. So I'm going to be doing another version of this video, but for your summer pests, and I'll be doing that one in a couple months maybe. So if you are really interested in learning which pests to be watching out for and how to take care of them, you're definitely going to want to keep an eye out for that video coming up. But otherwise, that is everything for today's video. So if you did enjoy it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and check out this video here. Bye.